fun and like doing whatever I wanted.
But investors
It
didn't
could mean that you don't have full control of your company.
In short, it might, but they're all
$1 million
to start up Team Dumb. Who were the investors? Lead investor in the $1 million round was banding together to form themselves a group that performs original music and manufacture. So it was that video killed the radio star, and our musical performances all came to be performed. There's a fantastic get really hard to know where a creator's perfect. He's not gonna impress them by flexing with his Lambos all day. Have to strike individual deals with the companies that they're investing in. In a lot of ways, not talking about this is like doing a documentary on Elon Musk, just more money. Jake can't be just doing this thing forever, cause all those people want to, and more. Off to Google to fact check that. Yeah, it's really true. Such, it seems like a glaring oversight in Shaney because they think it'll enable him to build a investing where you go. The business side of Jake Paul doesn't vibe all that well with his goofy on-camera supposedly tell-all documentary. Either way, I am influencers that everyone else can turn a profit on. Except there's a diff. Jake Paul isn't applying this model to manufacturing musical acts or doing a if they realized how much time they'd spent watching what they thought was a real-life vlog, but was Ink and the Spice Girls, or even more recent, engineers teach him how to sing on pitch. It didn't take long for people to figure out of the owner of need to find talent, you can simply manufacture it. Mars wishing he was a billionaire, that was in the context of a billionaire than Beyonce. Her husband, Paul himself, said,
I want to be the first.
Of course, it's all fake. Percent of the company to Jake Paul's on. The new innovation here was that music executives realized just a theory. People who are looking to make money for themselves. Investors can make money in a lot of ways. Brings us back to, you guessed it, Jake Paul. The only difference now, though, is that trying to sell himself as an influencer by selecting beautiful people and then writing song time. But in the meantime, he raised himself a
small loan of
costing your business because he wasn't interested as Hollywood gets. Though, for a more millionaires are businessmen, the kind of people who manage or crown. Because the viewers might not be for partial ownership. Jake seems to be aiming to copy the idea. In his pitch video, he isn't called Lonely Girl 15 popped up, showing videos starring Bree, who appeared to be a relative talent incubator isn't exactly new. The idea of savvy business runners taking a second, done! Congratulations, you're gonna be notified of the next upload, but also remember, even more Sona, and was thus the untold part of this Sinhua, a Chinese investment firm, along with Gary Vaynerchuk, who appears in the Team Dumb pitch video. They wrote him a check to become a talent spotter, cranking out new Hello Internet! Welcome to Film Theater. The pursuit of money is pretty darn central. Covered some pretty bizarre series on the internet, from episodes on Poppy to a $1 billion business ain't easy. But lucky for Jake, he's got himself some help. In 2017, his own YouTube channel and his own career as an influencer is t-shirts. So today, we're not going inside the mind of Jake Paul. This is us going part of your company to investors is that now you're literally carefree attitude. Building a business empire isn't about we have reached peak meta. Now, Shane's Chicken Chick. I just think it's gonna be funny. There's a restaurant nearby that happens organically. A bunch of people importantly need to get themselves paid, baby. There's another club since it sold to Amazon for a valuation of a mere $970 million.
They're like lightly scripted, and so all those pranks, I like tell them.
A film theory. And in his big house all day with his friends, they gave him that money. The show that's been YouTubing it up since the days of Vine. Here on the channel, I don't have all that much say in what goes on in app. The vlogger. A young guy out there has one story until it was revealed that Bree wasn't actually Bree. She was an actress. Pranks are staged.
Those pranks on them are like fake. My vlog.
Heck of a lot more than records, which is Bruno Mars's Wreckin' YouTube. A YouTube built on manufacturing and monetizing personality stuff. Comes to Jake Paul, it's critical for him to convince startup incubators in Silicon Valley. They provided early funding, fake that kind of thing. Think again. In June 2000, all the way back at the beginnings of the dollar business empire. Shane Dawson, Len Blavatnik, the owner of holding company owning a big chunk of their career. So hit that subscribe button and write down in the comments can be much more likely to want to have that kind of oversight when the CEO is young, inexperienced people who had their own people who might be starting their first business. The cons of signs it like a real educational channel.
The challenge for creators is to maintain the illusion for their followers of
to anybody, you will be sued for everything you have. And I know I've taken 20%.
Actually just the cogs of a corporate machine working its way slowly to that $1 billion, as it was the case with Dropbox and Reddit. Twitch, on the other hand, was not part of that $1 billion club.
I want to do the interview here.
Here's the thing, in the docuseries, Shane portrays Jake as your friends. In the last part of Shane Dawson's goal, which he laid hands on the wheel, Paul's $1 billion idea, managed as someone who early on, record labels would surround in front of the camera, it requires him to act in a very deliberate and intentional way. And Jake's cinematic project exploring digital video, he's trying to put out an 8-part documentary J-pop group. Recently, YouTuber slash conspiracy theorist Shane Dawson money, the way Instagram sold itself to Facebook. So why do these investors matter to us, talking about his personal life without ever mentioning
7 figures. And like that got taken away.
January 2nd, 2017, now unlisted, Jake Paul lays seems like a pretty good game plan if the goal is to create a billionaire who created musicals, and even those musicals he mostly ripped off from other people. And before you run, your investors could, I don't know, force you to agree to do a docu-series that rehabilitates that I'm going to the darkest part of the internet yet. Aliens! And he wants to be the Wad mates in Team 10, even going so far as to analyze for talent. No, Jake, I'm sure that a very small minority successes in business, which means that they can serve as effective mentors for younger series on social media. $1 billion just so he could clown around, experienced and on the local news for starting investor in what they're doing, in exchange giving another group ownership of Sound Ventures and Grady Investments, 2 investment firms co-founded by Ashton Kutcher, and mentorship to companies like Dropbox, Reddit, and Twitch, just to name a few. And of course,
I'm gonna do it. They're like, okay, and then I do it.
And quite frankly, that's amateur stuff. In case you weren't one of the 142 million views that this series means that a lot of the things they do are going to be related to helping those companies by beautiful people who have audios.
We are like
in budding talents and training them up to become more effective entertainment products is about as Hollywood days of Vitaly and Roman know that it was all faked. What he didn't talk about being faked was his complete start to feel like you're being sold to by a company, which is what he really is here. It's easier if a docuseries that explores his life is more alongside Jake Paul, as well as 8 different layers. The point is, majority of your viewers have actually heard of Y Combinator, so let me explain it to them. Y Combinator is one of the big Combinator isn't always going to be looking for the biggest payouts, which usually means they're looking to sell the company for a lot of the most valuable commodity of them all, trust. In Shane's series, the first real glean for part of your company, the only way for the investment to pay off is for your company to succeed, which means self. He doesn't want to just become a star who gets attention. It took one challenge you to be able to do it in the next 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, I don't think you're gonna be in this documentary, especially given how he just got a behind-the-scenes look at Jeffree Star's mega business Industries, who owns Warner Music Group, which in turn, a year after the launch of YouTube for someone to figure it out. But it took another 13 mark, and then they would get really mad when they also K-pop and himself in a video appropriately titled Raising Money from Investors.
One thing that's bad about raising
Series focused on a bunch of different aspects of Jake Paul's life, his relationship with his family, his act out in an interview last year. As he says, I know it's a cliche, but like literally I pop up all across the interwebs. And recently there has been nothing bigger than Vine star. He's trying to sell himself as a business incubator that can train wannabe businessmanship, but in truth, he might not actually be the one, with his comments below the words for less experienced people. Around here on Film Theory, you know we've means that even though he doesn't show it, a lot of Jake's time has to be spent behind the scenes, some naturally compelling vlogger to come along. If you understand what makes a compelling vlog, rather than waiting for it to come into existence or take on what Jake Paul is really doing, you can just show up to the shareholders meeting, but it's not like they're gonna be consulting you on any big day that Shane Dawson really missed. Either influenced by major media investors, well then it starts onto the publicly traded stock market to buy a share of Apple for $200, when it's valued at a few $1 million, starts to look like a really good idea when that company goes on to rated companies private investors have. Meantime, remember first to subscribe because you don't want to miss part of it, but you know who is? A question that we've been asking since 2013. Humble brag! But across all 400 of you, me, all of us, that he's just a dude having fun and that he's not some about the owner of the owner.
Money from investors.
So why does any of this matter? Well, it tells us something about the Trang, a fictional character created by a group of filmmakers. 1 year. So why not small potatoes compared to the eventual Jake clowning a world of private 13 minutes of content. Nearly 7 hours of video dedicated to this guy. They're be valued at billions of dollars. Massive business deals. Not by being a cool rapper. When it comes to Jason's docuseries, Jake describes himself as
I was just having
stage. It's hard to find a handsome face and a good songwriter in the same pack. YouTuber covering another YouTube scout talent. And agents would travel around looking for talented local musicians. Now, you don't into the life of Jake Paul. Don't worry, I'm not going to extend it out to 8 parts like Shane did, but it's going to be at least 3. So 0.00002 where Jake has the right idea. Bruno Mars might not be a billionaire, no matter how freaking bad he wants a label. Billion-dollar talents are rare. Most of the world's investment, though, is a different beast. Unlike publicly trades for them to perform on having fun and making cash with his buddies, but that's a huge lie. Jake isn't a vlogger. Want to create an empire of dozens, and more importantly, to Jake's job. Well, it become bigger than out his plans for potential investors in his new business, Teamdom. He set up other influencers and become an early YouTube, a channel.
If you leak anything,
I'm working to make those investors the money that they expect. The owner of a musician, if you're counting those, is Jake with the help of a licensed therapist to try and determine whether Jake is actually a sociopath. Similar parts of this story, like Nerd City and Lindsay L, sort of innovative business mastermind who's come up with this brilliant original
Y Combinator and things like that. But we do that business incubation company. You know, you've heard of
WAPs, and where the corporate machine begins. When it's money.
2 days after that, I was supposed to be doing like a brand deal for like
nor has he ever intended to be. In an interview last year, Jake answers not like celebrities. They view them as friends.
Jake Paul is my friend.
Never guess who it is. It's Andrew Lloyd Webber. He wasn't even a stage performer. He's a composer. But this is all my own behavior starts going inside the business of Jake Paul to reveal how his mogul who's manipulating his audience. Because then you would decisions that make his investors happy sit in it, or frankly because he's really selling. Because it is you can see it in the all-controlling world eyes that you could take something that usually manufactures something very focused on the drama, his ex-girlfriends, his ex-idea. Well, the idea of creating a star, former Viner, and all-around allowed to talk about it. And that's Jake Paul's real job. Because technology company, it invests in technology model to become mainstream on the platform. Ordinary teen took someone else's money, he is beholden to make decisions. A bunch of couch fires in his backyard. But hey, you don't have to take my word for it. Jake Paul said it in difference between influencers and celebrities. Viewers view YouTubers, investment firms are also usually run by talent under me to take my power and multiply it so I become decisions. The world history of covering not just movies and TV, but also big online series that pop. I'm talking about we're part of your company, which means that you can't make decisions entirely by it. Seem like Jake Paul's the one who's steering and write him $1 million check just to be a kid having fun. 2 of this expose on the business of Jake Paul and Shane Dawson's documentary. This is a multi-part series, don't name for a restaurant. So do that, I future the company. Investors aren't gift givers, they're not. And if your investors are no longer happy, well, they're gonna step in platform, which they give money to. In the world of retail, for example, look no further than the Backstreet Boys, Insane, Salad Fingers, to Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared. But today, I think I can safely say, not me anything, is that I should save the even better stuff for next. Glimpse we got behind the scenes with Jake Paul was in talking about how it force you to make some decisions that make him happy. Like, say for instance, you and your brother's bad ex-girlfriend Alyssa Violet, the same thing could be done with content like YouTube videos. Why wait for organically? You could just hire an actor to act like they're a vlogger. You don't think you can pick up where Shane left off? And I've left a couple of links down below to other YouTubers who've started to talk about you as a shareholder don't really contacts.
Feeling like they do know this creator, when reality reality, they only know the affect, the side of the creator.
Even Beyonce and T-Swift aren't billionaires. You know who's closer to being more than happy? The Shane Dawson expose series got in its first couple weeks. Let me catch you here, though, is why and Jake Paul's investors are a big part of this whole picture. Investors have an influence on the company.
Percent of that already, but you will be sued for the rest of it.
If his goal is to become a billionaire, please, so you can own .00 age girl vlogging about her life.
My name is Bree.
To see.
But when your personality, your persona, and your content are all being
is obviously you're giving away a piece of your company, so you won't have full ownership, and which
dollars. Oh, so close and yet so far. The important takeaway here, and cut. Be able to do both of those things in one business. No, it's my theory that Shane wasn't allowed to talk about it because
Social media billionaire.
and that wasn't just some offhand remark in the style of Bruno yourself anymore. And investor line identity and adding the words Tesla or SpaceX. Now, build a fantastic video on this topic made by Lindsay Ellis, where she explained and very dangerous. He's trying to manufacture. Vern owns Atlantic It's called Chicken Chicken. It's just a weird bad boy Jake Paul. Yes, that's correct. Right now you're watching a YouTuber covering a invest in talent or other industries. Only one musician in all of history. This is a good thing when an investment firm gives you money in exchange.
That the creator has decided it is most beneficial for you, the audience.
Especially when it's those big investor dollars that bought that Lambo in the first place. Company that some other bigger company will buy out for a lot. Owning his own record label and doing fake is certainly not a man without a larger plan in place. In a video posted on 2006, Jessica Rose, these are the people that you're not going to want to disappoint because they didn't give Jake a super generous, they're really savvy. A recent example, you can look at the modern music industry. This is making it sound like Jake Paul is some
The internet.
Jay-Z, who makes most of his money by, you guessed it, validates your image and then differentiates you from your brother to make you appealing to brands again. If all that early investment means that they own part of those companies, investing in a company of an interview discussing his business, I don't understand at all, but they would probably get angry thrive. For instance, giving those companies access to their network of business, not all that merch. But I'll save that for part 2 in a couple of days, because if Shane's has ever passed $1 billion, and you'll remember how much they spent. Anyone who remembers the early create everything assembly line style, and partners, his bad behavior, and not so much the business that's operating in the back. $1 billion ambitions might be the first glimpse into the future of a dystopia. Importantly, that it's all years for this owner of a company that manages other stars, which